Welcome to the Thrive Show. My name is Kim O'Neill, and today I have with me here Victoria Longo, who helps people learn to create relationships that nourish and contribute to who they authentically are as individuals. She comes from a long family of mediums and is here to talk to us today about the power of intuition and relationships. Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. Your background is fascinating and is really going to contribute to our awesome conversation today. So I want to start at that place. I know that you come from this long line of family mediums, and while you embraced all things metaphysical as a kid, there was this period of time in your life where you tried to tune it all out,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
How did that impact your ability to hear your intuition?
I didn't at all. I really was in my head, whether you want to call it the ego voice, the conscious mind, the loudest voice that we have in our heads, trying to figure it out. Because that's also what we're taught from kids is use your head, figure it out. So when I went to create my life, I listened to what society said, what my parents said, what friends said. So there was never any connection of, does this actually work for me? It was, this is what I should do. So this is what I'm going to do. Even if it didn't feel right, even if it didn't, something felt off, I was going to power through because this was the way to get to that next level.
Wow. So now today, here you are, and I know you listen to your intuition and it's a part of your life again. Will you share with us what's the difference between intuition and being psychic?
In my opinion, there's really not much of a difference. It's just we have different words to use. So whether you want to call it psychic or whether you want to call it intuition, it's using that same energy to speak to us, to connect us to the universe, this greater energy beyond ourselves that has access to all information, all connections, everything we desire. So whatever term you want to use that.
And for our audience today, just in case they're even wondering, will you share with everyone what's the difference between a medium and, say, a psychic or other terms that are commonly used?
So a medium is commonly referred to as somebody that connects to dead people. And so I don't see dead people. My mother does. I tend to feel them, sense their presence using the other Claire feeling. So I might get an image in my mind, but I don't physically see them anywhere. So a psychic doesn't necessarily connect to somebody who's passed away. A psychic could just say, don't turn left, turn right.
Okay.
Preventing you from getting caught in an accident, let's say, or traffic.
Okay, and I feel like that's a nice segue into how you use your abilities in helping people with relationships. Will you share how
Yes,
that connects?
absolutely. So a lot of people consider relationships only to be with other people. So our spouse, our partner, our children, our parents, but there's relationships that we have with ourselves, with money, with food. And so food is the easiest one to tackle, right? Because it consumes a lot of people. We're taught to maybe finish our plates. We're taught to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a lot of times it's our mind that says, I'm hungry, it's time to eat. I'm hungry, it's time to eat. People don't actually check in with their body to say, am I hungry? Does this actually fill me up? Am I tired afterwards? So we can use our intuition to alter that relationship. And the same with people. A lot of times our mind, somebody will meet, we'll get a hint of, I don't know if I should trust them. There's something off. But our mind says, well, they've had a rough life. They're a really good person. I shouldn't judge anybody. So we bypass that knowing, and then we get hurt, and then we're angry at this other person for hurting us when really, we had that awareness. If we had honored it, it's just we're not taught to do that. We're taught to bypass that.
That is such a good example. How can a person deepen their connection to really being able to hear their intuition louder than they hear what's coming from their mind?
The first thing is just to trust it. So if you get this hint, because it's going to be quiet, it's going to be subtle. It might even just be this feeling of, I don't like this person. don't ask questions, don't try to analyze, don't try to figure it out, because the minute we go there, the minute we're in our heads. And the minute our louder voice is taking over to manipulate and control the situation. So trusting it and honoring that, and, saying, I don't like this person, I don't know why. You don't need a reason. It's not about them, it's about you.
Oh, that's good. I love that. Okay. So I've heard many stories of people trying to tune out their intuition, just like what you've been talking about, and shutting down their inherently gifted psychic abilities. Why do you think people do that? And how can people start to embrace more of the value of their intuition and psychic gifts?
So, from my experience, the reason why I did it is I wanted to fit in. I didn't want to be the oddball. People weren't talking about this. A lot of people are scared of it, especially if you have a strong religious background. And I've been fortunate because I actually do have a fairly strong religious background, but because my mom could never stop this from happening, it was just kind of like, oh, this is just happening. So it was just a thing.
Okay.
But a lot of people are taught to fear what we don't know. And all of this stuff that we don't know gets a bad label. And, unfortunately so, because this is the greatest gift. And, it's even in the Bible, like this stuff is not negative. So I think the more that and I know for myself, when I actually did start trusting it, embracing it, and talking about it again, there were a few people that thought I was weird, didn't want to deal with me, maybe thought I was possessed by the devil. But for the most part, people were like, thank God you said something. I had this experience and it was so weird and I don't know who to talk to. So it really created that space.
I bet that validation and affirmation supported you in feeling more comfortable and confident in using your intuition.
Yes.
Is
And
that
I've also built up a group of friends that are also speaking this language. So they're not worried
nice?
about, what somebody wore to an award show. We're trying to figure out, maybe somebody in our group wants to be the person at the awards show. So how can we create that life and how can we use our intuition
Oh,
to do that? So those are the conversations I'm having.
that's awesome. And that's a really wonderful example too of how intuition is helping build relationships.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that. Okay. Well, so you have some recommendations for people on when to use their intuition and how to do it. And I'd love if you share that with us now.
Yeah. So really when to use it is as much as possible, because it can help you. And again, relationships aren't just with other people. So you can use it for food. You can use it for money. If you find that you're constantly in a negative mindset about money, that might also be a reason why you don't have it, because there's the law of attraction in there and you're bypassing that,
That
right?
is such a great topic. Would you help give us some questions of what a person can ask within their relationship with money to sort of get some new flow going there?
Well, I would say, rather than asking questions,
Okay.
which is great, being aware of what you're actually saying in your head about
Mm.
money. Because once you're aware, you can change it. So then you can start asking the questions. But a lot of us, I think, are so unconscious to these patternings because we don't think of money as a relationship. We don't think of food as a relationship. Even though, let's say, with food and dieting or money and we don't have any, we want to fix it, we're not looking at how we're actually contributing to the problem through our thoughts and
Mm.
through our mind. So once we become aware of that, then it can change. So then we can start asking, hey, I wonder where I can make money today, right? And being really curious about it instead of from the conclusion of, well, the economy is horrible and there's no jobs and nobody's hiring, so I'm not going to have money, right? That's the mind that's figuring out. But there's actually people really thriving, at all times. It doesn't matter what the economy is. They're following their heart and money is showing up and they're trusting that. So being aware of what you're saying to yourself is most important. And then you can be curious and start, if you get a hit for, with money, apply for this job. well, do it. It might not be the exact job that you want it, but if you're getting that, trust that. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier, is if you get an awareness, trust it. You don't have to figure it out, because that's going into the mind. You just have to honor that, all right, maybe there's something for me to explore. Maybe it works out the way we thought, maybe it doesn't, but it could lead you down a path that ultimately does take you to what you truly want. And we would have never gotten there if we didn't follow that.
That's awesome. And last question, do people experience their intuition differently?
Yes. Yeah. So we have, clairvoyant is clear seeing, and claircognizant is clear knowing, and clairsentient is clear feeling. So basically, any of these senses can be used to give us access to our intuition. We might feel it in the gut. We might just have a thought drop in our head. We might, see a sign that we're going, I don't know why that looks familiar. And that's something we should investigate further. So these are, just paying attention to where we're sensing this. And that's something that, it takes practice. You're not going to get it right the first time, probably. You might, but if you've never been taught what to look for, it might feel really off. But if you have this unmistakable, I need to do this, trust it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Victoria, for sharing your expertise and wisdom with us today. I know we could take this conversation a lot deeper, but this was a great intro for anybody who's really wanting to connect deeper with their own intuition right now.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And thank you to everyone who's been with us today. We hope that you found value in today's conversation.